They need to stay there if they want a decent qualifying position. The drivers behind need to throw caution to the wind. So Valerio Rinicello and Brando Badua on the front row of the grid from Karel Pazovic and Bruno Del Pino, Alex Powell and Alfio Spina, then Jonathan Weywadt and Rafael Modenese, Eron Rescepi and Keanu Alajari round out the top 10. Then it's Maxim Rem and Timo Kucharczyk, Nacho Tunion and Adam Kowalski, Miguel Peiro and Ivan Dominguez, Alexei Yeleva and Josh Erford. Then it's Harley Keeble and Gustav Wisniewski from Peek Abrahamsen and Mickey Magnussen. So the drivers warm up the tyres and brakes, obviously trying to get to the optimum temperature. They need to make sure they get a good start. It will be harder for the drivers who are going on the slightly older rubber, but there are many drivers in the field who will feel that this is the time to box clever and put on a fresh set of boots in order to get out there and try and make up some places. It's always going to be a very tough race, the last qualifying heat, because everyone feels they have the ability to be in that final, but only the positions when they come across the line, provided they stand, will dictate who makes it and who does not. There are two okay races after this one, of course, in the senior class, and those two races will also set the grid for the final in their category. But this is the last junior race before the final. So congratulations to all of the drivers who have made it this far. Not everybody's going to go through, but you can all be rest assured you've given of your best, and you've certainly made everybody very proud. Rinicello, Badua, Pazovic, Del Pino, Powell, Spina, Weywadt, Modenese, Rescepi, Alajari, Rem, Kucharczyk, Tunion and Kowalski. Is this going to be a clean start straight away? It is! Perfect start up to the first corner as the drivers try and knit their way into the first corner. A little bit of jockeying for position through that flat-out first corner, down to the braking zone for the right-hander, and it's a big mistake from Rinicello. Rinicello runs wide, tucks back into the middle of the pack, and that's going to be an interesting one. Somebody's gone straight off the circuit and rejoined in front of the field. Goodness me, that was close. So everybody managing to avoid it, but that got very messy indeed for one of the Clerk by Lennox carts, I think that was. Now, trying to pick out who it was that managed to come through there across the circuit, across the ribbon of tarmac, across the grass, and ended up off the circuit. A very scary moment indeed for all of the drivers, but it's Brando Badua who has taken the initiative up front as a result. But a very scary moment for all of the competitors. I think it was Rafael Modenese who ended up getting spat out. So a very tough moment for the Peruvian, but he gets spat out of the queue and ends up traversing. And Rafael Modenese, of course, is under investigation for that one. Now, he is going to basically say, well, I didn't really have any choice. I got spat out, and I ended up having no control at all. Now, look at Rinicello. He's really struggling, and this is lack of experience in these situations. He's gone through the first corner on old tyres, not a lot of grip to have, and Karel Pazovic comes through on the inside of Badua and immediately loses momentum. Bruno Del Pino is going to try and get alongside and move up into second place. Del Pino gets through, Powell tries to come through, no chance from Pazovic, but he does get there in the end. The Jamaican moves up into third position. And in fifth place now, Alfio Spina trying to work his way through as Alex Powell now defends from Karel Pazovic. He can't afford to do that for too long because there are still 5 laps of this race remaining, and that's going to cost him an awful lot of time. But he doesn't want to lose too much grip too early, that's the thing. So Badura out in front of Del Pino. Powell still hanging on to third in front of Pazovic. Spina, Kucharczyk is there in sixth from Weywadt. Then Rafael Modenese is there in position. So it's not Modenese who had the problem on the first lap. It's Ivan Dominguez who cut across. So Ivan Dominguez is the one who went off the circuit and rejoined. Modenese is in the middle of the pack, so it's a separate investigation then for Rafael Modenese, who is the teammate, of course, of Ivan Dominguez, who went off. And Modenese now really struggling to keep in front of Kucharczyk as Powell battles with Pazovic. Pazovic tries to come around the outside. There's not enough space to make it count. And Pazovic now gestures to Powell, stop defending, let's get away. But Alex Powell obviously wants to hang on to that third place. The Jamaican talent is running a good, solid weekend, and he wants to keep in the top 5. He's never been out of it. Pazovic now making his move on the inside, gets the position into third place. Kucharczyk gets the move on Spina in the same breath. So Badura and Del Pino out in front. Then Pazovic from Powell. Fifth is Kucharczyk. Then Spina. Rescepi's made the move on Weywadt. He gets through into 7th place, the Swiss ace. And then Modenese is in front of Keanu Alajari. 11th is Tunion. 12th is Maxim Rem. And now this is interesting. Spina and Kucharczyk are working together to get onto the back of Alex Powell. Now they're tagging him with. Maybe they can all try and triple tail Karol Pazovic into the second corner. They work together in momentum. This is all going to be about who makes the bid. Powell's going to leave the door open for Kucharczyk to get through, and also Spina will get through. That's textbook from the three drivers, but now Kucharczyk has gone rogue. He goes up the inside of Powell, as does Spina. Is there enough gap for them all to run together? Just about. But Pazovic is going to knit up the inside of Spina. Oh, they rubbed wheels, and that's enough of a gap for Weywadt to get by, having already managed to get back past there on Reshepy. So Spina falls behind the Dane. Now, Pazovic working with Alex Powell. Reshepy gets a big lunge up the inside there of Spina and makes the place. Meanwhile, Weywadt gets through. A brilliant overtaking move there on Alfio Spina and Alex Powell. Brilliant from John Weywadt. The Dane is really riding the rest of confidence this weekend. The crest of the wave is with the Dane as he runs in 5th position. He's never been out of this top 5 all weekend as John Weywadt pushes himself right into a decent position, and he's running with calm, smooth maturity. Last year, of course, was his first year in the FIA European Championships, and he's been working his craft up to it. Up the inside now of Pazovic. Into 4th place comes the Dane. And now he's going to try and hold the inside line because he knows he's still got pressure from Pazovic and Powell, but he's hoping that Powell will get his move on Pazovic before the Polish driver can get back on terms with him. And Aaron Reshepy is right in the mix there as well. Terrific racecraft, but what can John Weywadt do? He's really going to struggle to get away. Little puff of dust from the 3 drivers up front. And watch Reshepy round the outside of Powell. He almost manages to make that one stick. Goodness me, that was close. Reshepy full of commitment and full of beans as he tries to make his way through on the outside line. But John Weywadt is keeping that cart firmly planted to the inside. Pazovic is trying every trick in the book to get by, and Powell's trying to force the issue. They run wide, and Alex Powell gets by. Reshepy does too. So Weywadt and Pazovic find themselves in a very tricky situation as Modenese and Spina are now trying to get them between a rock and a hard place as they come up to the first corner. It's getting very tricky now as up the inside comes Keanu Alajari, the Emirati. He comes through into position. Up to the second hairpin. This isn't going to end well for everybody, and a spin from Alajari. Oh, I did think one of them was going to get spat out of the queue, and it's Alajari on this occasion. What a shame for the Emirati. He's done so well all weekend, but now he's got to try and push start it to get it back to the finish line. Devastating, absolutely devastating. He was working so well there in the final couple of laps. Josh Erfan coming up through the field well, up into 11th place. Keeble going well up to 13th. Keanu Alajari has to abandon it. What a shame. A real big problem there for Keanu Alajari. Meanwhile, up in the front, this is still the battle for 4th place between Reshepy and Powell as Spina tries to get his move on the inside there of Nasho Tunion, who's crept up into the top 10. But Brando Badoa is going to win going away. Fantastic run in front of Bruno Del Pino. Kucharczyk settles it out in 3rd place nicely. Who's going to get 4th between Powell and Reshepy? It is going to be the Jamaican. Weywadt bangs his steering wheel in frustration, but that's still 6th place. It's not a bad place to be at all. Modenese 7th from Valerio Rinicella, who fights back to 8th position in front of Spina and Tunion. Well, that was properly thrilling. Very sensible drive from Kucharczyk, just staying out of trouble and bolting when the gap presented itself. But Bruno Del Pino in a solid 2nd place. And Brando Badoa, another victory. And that's really going to help him in his bid to go for victory this weekend. So Brando Badoa takes the win from Bruno Del Pino on home soil. Timo Kucharczyk 3rd from Alex Powell and Aaron Reshepy. John Weywadt in 6th from Rafael Modenese and Valerio Rinicella. Alfio Spina and Nasho Tunion. Josh Erfan and Harley Keeble. Behind them in 13th position is Karol Pazovic, falling all the way down with his teammate Maxim Rem. Then Miguel Beiro and Ivan Dominguez. Alexei